a hell and powder house. Hell and powder house over Twitter. I mean, this situation with Mark Golding is set the internet on fire. I mean, everybody's going at each other. Insults have been flying left, right, and center. Tribal lines have been drawn, you know, and all kind of accusations and counter accusations and legal threat and who have lied upon retain and blah 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 and defamation of character. Whole heap of exposing a God. And me I laugh at the video though if it started. Yo, me I tell you. Anyway, Mark Golding. Let me calm down. Mark Golding. I've said in many of my videos that I don't support any political party and I don't support any politician. I've also said in quite a few of my videos that if Mark Golding slip him slide, and if the shoe was on the other foot, I would criticize Mark Golding just as much as I criticize Andrew Holness for all the stuff that's in the public eye right now. Should I say in the public domain. So with that says, Mark Golding, true to my word, you're going to have to get the flames and the fire. Because there's a few things which I am not happy with and I have to call you out on it, brother. You have to call you out on it. Number one, you are a legal expert, trained and experienced and qualified in the field of law. Okay? There's no question, there's no doubt there. Now, you are running for public office. You are the leader, president of the People's National Party, which is in opposition right now. You're also running and striving with the aspiration of becoming the next leader, prime minister of Jamaica. From my personal observation, I would say it's in the high 90s that you will be the next prime minister of Jamaica. The current prime minister and the current administration, that's the government right now, I think deep inside, they know there's a high probability that you're going to be the next prime minister and the People's National Party will be the next government. Now, you can't expect them not to use every single trick they have in the book to call you out on whatever they can call you out on. The same way you call them out on the Speaker of the House situation with Juliet Holness because of the potential situation and obviously conflict of interest, is the same way that they have the legitimate right to call you out as well. Now, when you call out, Juliet Holness, a lot of people say it was misogynistic. Your concerns wasn't about her gender. Your concern was about the conflict of interest being, both of them occupy two of the three arms within government, meaning Prime Minister, Speaker of the House, and so on. In that situation, I understand. But now, you're in a political game. Politics is a dirty game. Politics is a dirty game. You know that. And you should have known better than to enter into politics knowing that you have a situation with dual citizenship. You should have come clean and let the public know. Not only that, you should have renounced and relinquished your, revoke yourself from being a British citizen. Now, as I say, because you have the right under the law and under the constitution to hold both citizenship, doesn't mean it's ethical, or doesn't mean it looks ethical or the optics looks good on the, in the public eye. So in that respect, I'm going to say I don't agree with you, not disclosing it till now. I mean, you have no sort of control over the fact that your father is British and your mother, from what I understand, is also, British. But I'm going to go into that in a minute and clarify. But okay, we understand that you didn't have a choice. And obviously any parent in that situation would want to give their children dual citizenship, especially in the economic and political climate that Jamaica is in and has been for the past how many decades. So I understand all of that. And you're a child, but now you're an adult, now you're a man, and you have your own destiny. So you had many chances and opportunities to basically rectify that situation, because you're in the public eye, you're running to become the next potential government, there's a high probability that you'll be the next prime minister of Jamaica, And not even that, you're the leader of the opposition party as well, politics. You're a member of parliament, so you're very active in politics. You're also an expert in legal affairs and the law in terms of Jamaica. So you should have known more than anybody else that even though legally you are on good standing, ethically the optics looks wrong, and you should have denounced it. And for that you have to get the roasting, because you should have come clean. You knew exactly what you were getting yourself into, and you chose not to disclose that information. And it's only now when you're under public pressure, all of a sudden now, you sort of, open up. And you didn't even open up straight away. You had all these different elements within that supports your party, whether they said so on your behest or not, that were putting out all kind of stuff about, Ayman Banya and all these type of stuff, slogans. We understand all of that. Your place of birth is not in question. Your citizenship in Jamaica is not in question. What's in question is your dual citizenship with the UK, with Britain, albeit that is Commonwealth, which means constitutionally you have a legal standing and you're not breaking any laws and you're not doing anything wrong. But the fact of the matter is, I keep reiterating, you should have come out and just renounce your British citizenship, especially when you know that you're up against a political party that will do every and anything to stick it to you as you have to them. That's just the name of the political game. So with all that said, now is a situation where you're being forced and a lot of people are questioning you, and now all of a sudden, you're now saying, okay, you went on TVJ and you formally, even though you've made statements on social media, you formally went on TVJ on that interview and you said, yes, you're British, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, the other thing I didn't agree with, apart from that, the second thing I don't agree with what you've done, and that was a wrong move on your part, is that you said on TVJ, and I'll paraphrase, I won't quote because I don't remember. You said you will consider whether you want to renounce your British citizenship or not, and you will pray on it. And if it's found that the public at large is highly in favor of you calling for you to renounce your British citizenship, then you consider it and you'll do it and you'll follow through. Here's my problem with that. If you're genuine, you shouldn't have to be pressured and pushed. You should have taken the initiative. This is what I'm saying. You should have taken initiative. If you know you have to do something that is right, don't wait, don't hide behind the law and the letter of the law and say, well, the Constitution allowed me to do this, so I'm doing it. We all know that sometimes there's a lot of stuff that's legal and in law, but it doesn't make it right. The law there's lots of laws that's the law, but it's not right, and vice versa. So my thing is, you're hiding behind the letter of the law and you're saying what you're saying, fair enough, fine, whatever. But ethically, you know right from wrong, and you know within yourself that it's a better optics, it's a better public image if you have just come forward from the outset, and you could have done this years ago and say, you know what, I've got dual citizenship, British Commonwealth, I'm a UK citizen as well, and I'm going to take the initiative and renounce my British citizenship and stick with my Jamaican citizenship, even though I was born and grown in Jamaica, and etc., etc. That would be better for you. Not only that, it will also silence your critics and your political opponents, because now deep down they're going to find any ammunition to come at you with, and that's one of the ones that they're going to use. Now, if you've done that from years back, then what would have happened is, even if they come out with it, the public could be like, well, they must say this and that about Mark Golding, but that's yesterday, that's still news. Bin done come out and say all that already. So they're kind of late with that. I don't know. No one's going to pay attention to that because that information is already out in the public domain. But you chose not to do that. And it's only when you're under pressure, you're being pushed, then you decide to come out and disclose the information. And then now, not only that, haven't not learned that lesson, you decide to say, well, me still not gonna renounce it right now. I'm gonna pray upon it and think about it and obviously have discussions with whosoever behind closed doors. And you're gonna do that because, if the public pressure keeps up, and I can guarantee you it is going to keep up, they're not gonna relinquish. So you might as well renounce your British citizenship from now. I don't understand with a guy of your education level and your, what I'm assuming is your level of intellect, don't sort of, just relinquish it. I would have done if I was in your position. I'm not you, but that's what I would have done. You know what I mean? Especially if I'm running for political office and public office, I'd have to do that. There's many other diplomats and people who have done it. I mean, notably, I'll mention DARYL VAZ. He's a U.S. citizen. He had the U.S. Dual citizenship, but as you know, the United States is not within the Commonwealth. But he had to renounce it because there was no legal constitution for him to stand on anyway, and that caused a big controversy back then. And he sort of went that road, and we're gonna go into that in a minute because DARYL VAZ has shot himself in the foot more than one occasion. Boy, I tell you, some people spot say black. Anyway, confession time before we move on. I understand how Mark Golding feels. I know this video is not about me, it's about Mark Golding. I myself, I'm not a Jamaican citizen. I'm a British citizen. My birth certificate says British. My passport says British. So that tells you everything you need to know. I was born in Britain, okay? Born in London. Now, having said that, I've been to secondary school in Jamaica. The utmost for the highest, Rabalac, Calabar High School, the best school in Jamaica, in the entire island of Jamaica, Calabar, the best school. With that said, I understand the culture and the sentiment on both sides. And even though I'm British born and, and everything, nobody can tell me say I'm a Jamaican at heart. And anybody try to tell me the difference, I'm going to tell them if I go suck on them. I hold it back, almost. I look from screen to screen. Almost say the SYM acronym, even though my constitution protect me. But true say me no Jamaican. Me no think say me have protection under the Jamaican constitution. But guess what? We have the same similar constitution in the UK, and my freedom of expression and rights is being protected. So there you go. So I'm eating at the Commonwealth. But anyway, my point is I understand where you're coming from and where your father is coming from, why he would have set up such a situation with your dual citizenship. But once you became an adult, you could have made your own decision from that point onwards. You chose to maintain both dual citizenship, brother. You chose to maintain it. And for that reason, you know what that involves. You know what that entails. I get it. Jamaican economy and the Jamaican political and even crime situation, make people want to upscotch and run at any time when things go south. I understand it, but you're in a particularly unique position where you're a leader of the opposition and you're potentially going to be the next prime minister of the country. So as a parliamentarian, you don't have that luxury of dual citizenship, even if the constitution in your particular case allow you. And you did say on a TVJ interview that, there's many other people you know of within parliament who have dual citizenship. Now, I would have wished at that point you would have disclosed that information. The same way we are called for disclose the illicit six, yeah? At the same way, under the constitution, it's the right for you to call for that. At the same way, you should have disclosed that the information there. But you didn't. And to me, what's the point saying there's others in parliament who's got dual citizenship and you're not calling a name? It don't make no sense. To me, that's kind of hypocritical. That's my opinion personally. Now, you might have your reason why you decide that, you're going to hold off and you're not going to mention names now. But when I look at that in comparison to how vociferous you are and your party is, and even myself included in the past and still is, about, the illicit six being disclosed, it's the same way you should have disclosed other members of the parliament who have dual citizenship, whether they're in the JLP or they're in the PNP. It's just that simple. And if you're not prepared to do that, then don't mention that on TV to the whole world to see. Just say what's pertaining to you and leave it. That's all. But the minute you say other people, then you should have named them all. And the other thing is, the host that was questioning you or interviewing you on that program, they didn't press you and say, would you care to tell us the names of those people who you've mentioned that you said has also got dual citizenship? You understand me? Them never pressed that either. But the fact of the matter is, Jamaica, out of many one people, we need to realize that don't exist. That's just a farce. It doesn't exist. There's two sets of Jamaica, and it's simple as that. And that's the way it's always been, and that's the way it's always going to be. So that's my qualms with Mark Golding in that regard. I don't agree with you having dual citizenship. I don't agree with you maintaining the dual citizenship and keeping it quiet and didn't divulge that information. Yeah. And I also don't agree with the fact that you're saying, oh, I'm going to deliberate over it and ponder it and whatever. And, you know, if the public so demand and the pressure is that mounting, then, because that's in essence what you're saying, if the public demand is demanding that, then you will, in that case, renounce your citizenship of, you know, British citizenship. And I'm like, brother, at the end of the day, no, that don't look good. So in other words, do you have to be forced? So you have to be forced in order to, you know what I mean? To do it. You have to be forced. You can't take the initiative and just do the right thing and done. I must laugh because on Twitter, you know, everybody's going backwards and forward and putting in them 2 cents and them 3 cents. And I'm laughing and I'm thinking to myself, wow, look at that. Isn't that a beautiful thing? What a wonderful thing to see democracy at work. What a wonderful thing to see, you know, the Constitution in full effect, where citizens of Jamaica, including the diaspora, can exercise and express themselves under their democratic right and their constitutional rights. Isn't that amazing? And therefore, you know, you see some people insulting other people, some people coming out strongly against Mark Golding, other people coming out strongly against Andrew Holness and other politicians. And to me, this is the beauty of the Constitution. I always say, as a person, I always welcome debate, but I don't get involved in arguments. To me, an argument is point scoring, which is futile, is pointless. I don't agree with arguments. What I'm into is debate. The thing about debate is I only get in, but mind you, let me just stick a pin. I only get in debates for 2 reasons. 1, I learn something from that debate. 2, the person I'm debating also, I hope, learns something from me. If that's not the scenario, then I don't involve myself in a debate either, because the debate becomes pointless if we're both debating and we haven't learned anything from it. And the idea of a debate, by the way, is not to convince somebody else and change their mind. You know, a debate is not about bashing somebody over the head with whatever information and opinions you have. A debate is about you saying your bit and you use whatever figures and sources to substantiate your position, and the other person likewise do the same. And then that's how you learn, and that's how you grow, and that's how you improve. It's upon the other person if they decide to change their mind or not. But the purpose of a debate is not to try and change somebody's mind. But the problem with Twitter and Instagram and all these places is the platform is not geared towards that. The platform is just geared to be just deteriorate into argument and mudslinging and insults. And that's all it is. And a lot of people sitting up there being condescending. We're going to go into DARYL VAZ in a minute. So hold on, DARYL VAZ. You're in the queue. Wait your turn. Right now, I'm Mark Golding, and we are dealing with him. So back to Golding. But here's the thing. For you to become, according to the polls and every other researcher I've looked at, the next to become the next Prime Minister of Jamaica, you have to realize that you need to speak beyond your strong base, beyond your fan base, beyond your strong PNP supporters, the tribal supporters who support the Orange. Those are not the people that you're worried about. The people you should be concerned about is the people that's sitting on the fence, which means they're undecisive. Them you have to win over. And 2, some of the current JLP supporters who are now wavering and thinking, boy, you know what, I'm not happy with the current government and administration. And me really strongly think and I decide to go with the PNP if you see what them have to offer. So you have those 2 types of people right now. Those are the people you should be targeting and focusing on. Not the die-hard core supporters of the PNP. You have them in the bag already. They're not the ones that's going to win you the next election. It's the undecisive one sitting on the fence and the JLP supporters who is now feels, you know, sort of left out of the process, and the government is not listening to them, or the government has disappointed them or let them down in some way, or the party, and now they're strongly looking to move over to the PNP and support the PNP party and you to be the next government. Those are the 2 groups of people that you need to talk to and convince. But you're not doing that. So when you sit up there and say, well, we see what the people them say, and if the demand is for me to do this, no, you should take the initiative, because those who are sitting on the fence and those JLP supporters who are wavering, yeah, and there's a lot of them, those two groups of people are going to observe the way you handle the situation and say, you know what, me did that thing for kind of go over to the film side, you know, but boy, after the whole dual citizenship and the way I angle it, boy, I'm not so sure anymore, you know. Maybe better the devil me know, you know. And that's the problem. So that's a mistake and a blunder you're making right now by saying you're going to wait and see. And then if this, that, and the third, then you make the decision to renounce. Brother, if I was you, I would have renounced it. But you don't have to take my suggestion because, you know, whatever. I'm just a foreigner who is looking in, who feel like me as a Jamaican and feel strongly about it because my family in Jamaica. You understand? I got families in Jamaica. And for that reason, I feel Jamaica is here for me. It's right here. So for me, I just feel like, you know, you're making a lot of blunder after blunders. You've made 3 blunders. The first blunder you make is you kept it secret for as long as you could. Or let's say you omitted or you didn't really proactively disclose the information. So then when you're questioned about the information, a lot of little other press releases came out, whether it's from your camp or not, or just your supporters taking up on their own initiative and put out stuff on social media. You didn't come out and categorically nip it in the bud. Then when you do that, you kind of say, well, you know, the Constitution and, you know, do nothing illegal and which is fine. But then it look like you're hiding behind the letter of the law. And 3, you're going to still stubbornly hang on to your position by saying, unless there's been a real shift in the demand for you to renounce your British citizenship, from what I'm getting from your interview, is like you'll wait and see, you'll think about it and get back to the public or whosoever later. And I'm like, that's a wrong move. That's 3 wrong moves you've made. So that's that. So you have to take the flames and you have to take the roasting for that. It's that simple. You knew what you were getting in when you went into politics, and that's the end of that. Now, I'm going to jump into some other situation because never really come off a Mark Gold, you know, I roast him long enough, and I hope him understand what I say. And as I said, this is the reason why I'm going to support political parties, I'm going to support politicians, because I just find them all to be slippery like snakes, all disingenuous, and none of them not squeaky clean. Mark Gold not squeaky clean, Andrew Holness not squeaky clean. None of the politicians them squeaky clean. So that's different from me saying them corrupt. No, the system is corrupt, and there's corrupt politicians within the system, but who they are exactly, I don't know. And I've never named a person and said them corrupt. All I know is the system in which they operate in is corrupt, and there are a few of them on both sides, JLP and PMP, that are corrupt. Now, if you were to ask me who they are, I couldn't tell you. You understand me? Because I can't fling accusation against people and I not have evidence and proof of it. Unlike some YouTubers who, every time they get a little bit of information and they get a phone call, a little voice message, then fly out and make a video. And I'm like, that is so irresponsible. And these people are purporting themselves to be intelligent and bright and all these type of terminology them like to use, you know, and then give themselves states of whatever. I'm not going to work hard, then it's going to be too obvious who me I talk about. But anyway, they're still doing a good job. So even though that's the situation, they're doing a good job. Their channels are doing very good work, you know, and, you know, we commend them for it. And when me say me commend them for it, me not just attack through my, you know, me rearing. Me have been situation where behind the scene, me make it known, say people and people, cause me genuine like that. Me not say me perfect and me a saint, but me genuine like that. When me say what me mean, and I'm that type of person. So this is why Golden I get film roasting, because me did say whenever I'm sipping slide. And right now he must slide, I go right down the banking, brother. He must slide all the way down. And for what I'm seeing, it don't look like he's in a hurry to correct to take corrective measures. It just seems that if him go just go with the flow, and only when in a situation where he realize, oh shit, damage control, then he will make a decision. And to me, that's a wrong approach. That's a completely wrong approach. But hey, he's his own man. Good luck to him if that's what he want to do. In my opinion, he's going to pay the political price. The longer him dilly-dally and dilly, the more heavy the price he's going to pay. Especially when it comes to the ballot box in the next general election. So, you know, if that's the case and him throw with it and him throw with the opportunity, him gonna have himself to blame. So that's that. So let's just briefly jump over in a few documents, because there's a few things me want tackle on and a few other people name and me need to call up, you know. Because me see a whole heap of hypocrisy are going on, and we're gonna get into it. Okay, so here we are over on the Constitution, the Jamaica Constitution. As you can see, the Jamaica Constitution ordered by a council of 1962. This constitution was made on the 23rd of July 1962, and the very next day was laid before Parliament on the 24th of July 1962. And as you can see from this constitution, you know, it got all the stuff that's laid out here, which sort of governs Jamaica as we speak today. Okay, so that's that as it speaks. Now there's a revised version of the constitution which goes up, which includes amendments up to 2015. So that's what this is. Now this constitution has everything that the original constitution here has. It's got everything in it as well, including the amendments. So we're going to use this. So let's go into the Commonwealth citizenship. Bam, you see when you click on it, it jumps into it where the other one doesn't. So let's go to it. It says every person who under this constitution or any act of parliament is a citizen of Jamaica or under any enactment for the time being in force in any country to which this section applies is a citizen of that country shall, by virtue of that citizenship, have the status of a Commonwealth citizen. That applies to Mark Golding, so he's covered and protected under the Constitution right there, no questions asked. Paragraph 2 says every person who is a British subject without citizenship under the British Nationality Act 1948, or who continues to be a British subject under Section 2 of the Act, the said Act, shall by virtue of that status have the status of a Commonwealth citizen. So in other words, even if you're a British subject, but you're not a British citizen, you will still be considered under virtue of the status of a Commonwealth citizen. So in other words, the best way to describe it to you is, let's say you have somebody who has got, who is regarded as a British subject, but at the same time they don't apply or they don't have British citizenship. Then in that respect, they will be classed as a Commonwealth citizen, but not a British citizen. And for those who still kind of confused by this paragraph, let me break it down another way. Now, you can have people who say, when you remember when Britain was in the EU and Britain left the EU, when Britain was in the EU, it was a member state of the EU. So being an EU member, you're an EU citizen. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all the countries within the EU, all the respective countries, you're that citizen. So in other words, someone from France or Germany or Italy or Spain or all the other countries that was in the EU, they're not British citizens and they're not British subjects either. And they're not even part of the British Commonwealth or the British colony. But because they're a member of the EU, they're classed as an EU member. So they're an EU citizen. But if they were to come to Britain, they will have certain rights afforded to them from an economic and political standpoint in terms of their protection as an EU citizen in Britain, because Britain was in the EU at the time, but they don't have the same rights in Britain as a British citizen, if that makes sense. Again, I could take the example over to America, where you could go over to America and you reside in America permanently, you have a green card, so you're legal permanent residents in America, you have the right to live and work and do everything else. But as a citizen of America, you don't have the same rights as a American citizen. You'd have to apply for citizenship separately. And for those who are saying, well, what's the difference between, the citizenship and Commonwealth? That's basically the same thing. The Commonwealth is just basically an economic organization as opposed to a British colony. Because when you go into paragraph 3 here, it says, save as may be otherwise provided by Parliament, the countries to which this section applies are the United Kingdom and the colonies, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India, Pakistan, Ceylon, Ghana, the Federation of Malaya, the Federation of Nigeria, the Republic of Cyprus, Sierra Leone, Tanganyika, the Federation of Rhodesia and Netherlands, and the state of Singapore and so on and so forth. This is a very sort of concise list. It's not the extensive list of all the Commonwealth countries that was in it. This is a small fraction of them. Now, if you notice here, it says United Kingdom and the colonies, because what happened is you can be a colony of the United Kingdom or a British colony, but it doesn't necessarily equate that you're within the Commonwealth. So in other words, there's a question mark over whether Canada, Australia, and so on is a British colony. I know the Falkland Islands, which is not even mentioned here, the Falkland Islands is a British colony. Do you understand me? The Falkland Islands is a British colony, and you could equate that to Puerto Rico, who is a territory of the United States. So because Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States, their sort of system is slightly different in the way it's constructed, but I'm just trying to find similar examples so you can understand. So you being a British colony doesn't necessarily mean you are within the Commonwealth and vice versa. Another brilliant example that just comes to mind is if I take, the BRICS situation. So if you remember, BRICS is made up of, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Many other countries have since applied and joined as member state or countries of BRICS. So it's a similar thing. All those respective members of BRICS is an economic union. Just like how you have the EU, that was an economic union. The Commonwealth, that's an economic union. Okay? So we need to differentiate between colonies, unions in terms of economy, and actual, citizenship for respective countries. So if you look at BRICS, people in South Africa, they don't have Chinese citizenship and vice versa. People in Brazil don't have Indian citizenship and vice versa, but they're all member of BRICS. Do you understand me? Because that's an economic union. They've come together and decided to do certain things together and make the borders between them more like borderless when it comes to trade and economic prosperity and so on. Sourcing raw materials, etc., etc. So the Commonwealth, the name wealth already give it away. The Commonwealth just basically means you don't have to be necessarily a colony of Britain, but if you're within the Commonwealth, you apply and you join the Commonwealth, it just means that you share in the economic prosperity, trade and commerce, etc., etc., because you're in the Commonwealth. So this constitution has basically laid out legally that any country that's within the Commonwealth is afforded certain rights. And Jamaica, which was a former colony, because if we were to go by what people is a questionable independence, or Jamaican independence, and other people have a big question mark over that. If Jamaica have independence, meaning Jamaica is no longer a British colony, but it's still within the Commonwealth. It's like, so it's that situation. I can't make it any clearer than that. So because of that, those rights are afforded in that respect. So these three paragraphs, let me just jump back to that over here, that you can look at under the Commonwealth citizenship, because this is the question in terms of Mark Golding. These protects his rights under the Constitution. So because of that, they have no leg to stand on. Now there's other powers of Parliament and interpretation, and they go into some interpretations here, which is what I like. So for instance, they say powers of Parliament prescribing the grounds on which and the procedure whereby a person may be deprived of his citizenship of Jamaica for the renunciation by any person of his citizenship of Jamaica. So that's another situation here where the public is calling for the renunciation of not his Jamaican citizenship, but of his Commonwealth British citizenship. So that shouldn't be a problem, even though according to this constitution, Mark Golding's rights is being protected. But even so, even though his rights is being protected, he can go ahead and do that. And I would advise, my suggestion is you should do it. Now, the interpretation of that is alien means a person who is not a Commonwealth citizen. So in other words, if you are American, a British protected person or a citizen of the Republic of Ireland. A British protected person means a person who is a British protected person for the purpose of the British Nationality Act 1948. In other words, whether you're a Commonwealth citizen or not, if you're a British nationality, which I am because I was born in this country, then I'll be protected in that respect. But I think it's something you can apply for. I'm not too fully up on that situation. And then you have foreign country means a country other than the Republic of Ireland that is not part of the Commonwealth, okay? And again, I'll use America as a good example. Prescribed means prescribed by or under any act of parliament. So that's what that is. So you can see clearly now they're trying to explain and differentiate the fundamental rights and freedom. Now we're going to jump into fundamental rights and freedom here because I see some situations where people are complaining about X, Y, and Z, and a lot of stuff is taking effect. And as I said, DARYL VAZ, you're up next. And it's not just DARYL VAZ, Andrew Holness is going to catch them straight up. And there's this other politician, I'm not going to name him, I'll keep him nameless, because some politicians, in my opinion, they just live for the limelight and for people to call their names so they can jump up and down on social media and seek some type of relevance. And unless the subject matter directly includes you or the office in which you hold, there's no reason for me to mention your name. So the reason why DARYL VAZ's name is mentioned in this respect is because it's been reported, and a matter of fact, before I go into, well, yes, it's reported that he's the person behind the information regarding Mark Golding's passport, etc., being released in the public domain. And we're going to jump into that into a second. But before I do, I just want to have a quick go at Andrew Holness first, because whilst we're here, we might as well, as them say, deal with everybody in one go. Now, under the fundamental rights and freedoms, you will take note that it says the right, which is the right to freedom of expression. Can you see that? I'm hoping that's big enough on your screen. The right to freedom of expression. So therefore, this is from Andrew Holness and that young man who tell Andrew Holness about the SYM acronym, and as a result, police draw him out time horse or from under embed or whatever the case may be, force him on camera. I don't know the guy, by the way. I've mentioned this in several videos because I was kind of disgusted by it, even though I don't agree with the insults that the guy hurled at the Prime Minister, the sitting Prime Minister of Jamaica. I think you should give him a little bit more respect for the office in which he holds, even though I would admit sometimes he kind of brings situations on himself where people will be disrespecting him personally and the office he holds because he has not, in my opinion, set a good example as a prudent leader, one that people look upon him with respect and therefore would not be looking to disrespect him. But having said that, I would personally be of the mind of choosing not to disrespect people and have personal attacks on people. You can have a bit of banter, you can tease people, you can do all of that type of stuff, as long as you keep it relatively clean and relatively, cool and above board, so to speak. So yes, the right for freedom of expression. Now, this gentleman, this guy, he told Andrew Holness about his mother and all that, and Ray Tete. So, having said all of that, I'm thinking now, well, if that's the case, he has that right. That's a protected right under the Constitution for him to have. So you can't do that. The next right is the right to seek, receive, distribute, and disseminate information, opinions, and ideas through any media, which is what he did. He went on TikTok or wherever he got on one of them platforms. I'm not sure which one, and him disseminate the information and his opinions and whatever media him choose, and him choose social media for do it. And so for that reason, these two paragraphs is already protecting this guy's right. Now that's that situation. So to me, that guy, I think what you should do, bro, is you can bring a lawsuit against either the government either the government indirectly or directly to the police department, JCF. So you either bring a lawsuit against them for what they've done because they've infringed upon your constitutional rights, I'm not sure if they had a warrant to come up in your place, and even if they did, they can't manhandle you and draw you out of your place. That's abuse. And if they arrested you and bring you down to the station, they should have read you your rights and explain and articulate to you why you're being arrested and what laws you've broken and what crime you've committed. I don't think that take place. Them can't articulate a crime. No, the only thing them probably could have caught is some type of antisocial thing, but then you weren't being antisocial. You expressed your opinions and your views, which under the Constitution you have a right to do. So they've breached on many grounds there. The other thing is they brought you in front of a camera under duress, under pressure, and make you apologize to the Prime Minister. That again, to me, is another no-no and another breach. So you have grounds there for sue the police directly, and as a result, indirectly sue the government. No, you can also bring a personal lawsuit, civil lawsuit if you want, against the particular individual officers that carried out the situation that they did, where them arrest you and draw you up and haul you up and put you in front of camera. All those policemen who were involved, you can bring, individual lawsuits against them, or you can just bring a lawsuit against the entire police department because they represent the police department, they're policemen, or you can bring it against the government. You have your lawyers and people who are expert in that field can, sort of advise you which is the best course of action for got you out of the three options you have. Because if I was in your shoes, that's what I would have done. Now, the other one I want to bring up is the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. Now, this brings me back to Rattigan. You remember Rattigan, from what I understand, he sort of organized and held with other people, not just by himself, jointly held what do I call it now? A sort of a peaceful protest and assembly in front of, was it the Jamaican consulate or embassy or something in New York? And there were people on the other side hurling insults about, accusations about them, smuggling weapons down in barrels. And obviously the representative of Jamaican government turned their back and completely ignored him, which I thought was disgusting and unprofessional, rather than walk over to the guy and give him a little 2 minute or a little 1 minute and hear him out. You don't have to agree with what the person has to say, but that's why you're in office, to hear your electorate, to hear your citizens that you represent abroad and hear their concerns. But that never happened. So it does question what's the point of you being in a building in New York if, whatever. Or even invite one and two of them up and say, listen, I don't want to be in front of these crowds on camera. You can bring your camera and two of you or one of you can come up to my office, or we can schedule a meeting where we can sit down and discuss this in a better setting. I don't know if that was extended to Rattigan or anybody within his group, but then that's another situation. And then they had certain people in Jamaica going on about, he's betraying his country. But the Constitution protects him. It says here in black and white. Yeah, it says it there in black and white. Indeed, the right to seek, receive, distribute, disseminate information in opinion, and the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association, which is what they did. The right to freedom of movement, that is to say, the right to every citizen of Jamaica to enter Jamaica, and of every person lawfully in Jamaica to move around freely. Now, this is another right of Constitution that's being breached, because people can't move around freely because a lot of the beach them privatized. And there's a group of people who are trying to sue for that regard. So here you are, the Constitution protect you there. So even though this can't be taken literally, because if you say the right to move around and to live anywhere you want in Jamaica, you can't just move in the Prime Minister's office and go live in the building. So, it's a bit of up and down. The right to equality before the law. There's another one here with them breach. The right to freedom from discrimination on the grounds of being male or female, race, place of origin, social class, color, religion, politics, or political opinion, and so forth. So what that is telling me is, again, I've heard a lot of people saying, Mark Golding, he's this white man from the UK, which is not true. The man is not from the UK. The man is more Jamaican than me. The man born in Jamaica, the hospital in born in Jamaica, brother. The man passport and birth certificate says Jamaica. So all you gotta say is this white man from, you can probably say it about his father. Yeah, but then his father, I've done some research, his father has done some wonderful work for Jamaican people, and so I'm grateful. I mean, I said it's because I have some Uncle Tom, I pick up for this white man. I don't know Mark Golding, I never met him, I never spoken to him. I don't know him father either, I never met him or spoken to him. But we have the discernment of intellect to have a discourse and have a discussion intellectually and do it with common sense. So at the end of the day, to me, for the man for go out time, I bet if it was some white man, I bet you no big up Radigan though. You know Radigan, the British person who helped put dancehall on the map. Yeah. Or no run back at him though. He's not the white man from Britain who appropriate the culture and make money off a dancehall and reggae music. You never say that about him though when it come to music. But when it comes to this man's father, when I ridicule him and see the Constitution protects his rights against discrimination based on color, place of origin, and so on. So we need to do better as a people, brother. How we gonna move forward and say we want the better when we can? And that's much. Me not go too much more of the Constitution. It's all there in black and white for those who want to do the research and find the information. And that's that. The only thing I'm gonna jump into now is a quick thing for Mark Golding. Just because some people refuse to see the information, they might go put it in on the face. So here, Mark Jefferson Golding, born 19th of July 1965, is a Jamaican attorney, investment banker. Okay, so he's in banking like myself. Politician who has been opposition leader of Jamaica. So fine. And it gives you the rundown there, the monarch, prime minister, governor. It gives you a bit about his father's background, his early life. It does say Golding was born in 1965 in Kingston, Jamaica. He's the younger of two children born to Patricia Nee Levi. I hope I pronounced that right, or Nee Levi. I'm just going to say Patricia Levi and Sir John Golding. I'm assuming that's his father. He's got a few letters behind his name there. His mother was born in England, and the reason why it's truncated is because I had to blow this up to at least 200%. So that's why the information is truncated. If I put it back down to 100%, everything is legible. So don't worry about it. Okay, so his mother was born in England, the daughter of a Jamaican doctor from Westmoreland Parish. So we know the father was born in England. So you're saying here the mother is born in England, the daughter of a Jamaican doctor. Okay, from Westmoreland. So that means his grandmother or his grandparents are Jamaican in that regard on the mother side, but on the father side they're British. But even then, the mother, meaning Mark Golding's mother and father, are British. They're English. In that respect, but the mother, her parents are born in Jamaica as well. So her situation is similar to mine in that respect. No, the only thing I wanted to say here is educational background, because Mark Golding did say at some point on TVJ that he was educated partly, especially when it comes to his later education, he was educated abroad. So in that regard, it says here Golding was educated on Mona Prep, Campion College, Jamaica, and Marlborough College as well, which from what I can see here, I'm not sure where that is. University of Oxford and University of London. Big up to UCL, one of the Russell Group, just like Oxford of University of Oxford. The Marlborough College is a public school, England, fee charging boarding and day school for pupils. Marlborough, so it's in Wiltshire, yes. So it's in Wiltshire, England. So 13 to 18. So I'm assuming that, at one point he got it. How many years he spent there, I don't know.